Today we're going to look at a plugin called Dehancer Pro. Now, if you look online, you can find a lot of tutorials and a lot of reviews using Dehancer Pro with footage. But today we're going to take a look at how can we use Dehancer Pro to enhance motion graphics. In full transparency, I do want to let you know that the Dehancer team reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in reviewing the plugin. Once I went online and looked at the features that Dehancer Pro has, I was excited to give it a shot. Whether I'm working in 2D or 3D, I always apply filters to try and make it look less digital. So let's jump into Adobe After Effects and see how we can enhance our motion graphics with Dehancer Pro. Let's take a look at how I use Dehancer on my 3D renders. So this made up music box, I modeled it in plasticity. I took it over into Cinema 4D and rendered it out in Octane. Now, I always take my 3D renders and bring them into After Effects and try and add a little bit more quality to my final output. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out to this marker here and let's create a snapshot so we can look at before and after. You see that I have Dehancer applied up here, but it's not enabled. So let's go ahead and enable that. And right away, we see a little bit of a difference because we have some different properties enabled by default. So obviously, one of the big parts of Dehancer are the film profile. We have 63 different film profiles. I really enjoy having these inside of After Effects. A lot of times we can get just a little bit different look or a fall off on the light that may have been hard to dial in something like Cinema 4D with Octane. There's so many parameters. Sometimes tweaking, lighting, and coloring in After Effects is a lot more efficient with time. I will show you a tool towards the end of this video that I created. I created a script that'll help you preview all those film profiles all at once. Now, one thing you might notice right now is we see a little bit of halo in here and kind of washed out. So one thing that I've noticed on my 3D renders that I like to do is come over here into the print category and switch this over to the Kodak 2383 print film. And I feel like that really cleans things up a bit. Now, one film profile that I really liked on this was this Fujifilm one. It's a little bit dark. So there's a number of places where we can make some adjustments to the contrast in here. I'm just going to change it right here on the tonal contrast. So let's just go ahead and brighten that up a little bit. Grain is great. I add it to almost all 3D renders to help get rid of banding, especially in these situations where we have a gradient in there. We have banding in the final render. And so grain is a great way to help get rid of that. Now, right now it's on a preset. I like to go to custom, and then you can go in here and really dial this in to your taste. We can make this more detailed. We can obviously adjust the amount and the size, and then we can apply it in different amounts to shadows, midtones, and highlights. So this is really great. This is some of the best grain that I've seen. I've used a number of film simulation plugins inside of After Effects. I do love plugins. This is hands down the best film grain that I've seen. I was really blown away the first time I used this at how good that film grain actually looked. Another one that I really loved that I think I might use too much here at the start of trying out Dehancer, and I feel like it's going to be in a lot of my final renders here, is the Halation category. This is really fun. And let me get to a section where we can maybe see it a little bit more. So here we have this screen. I'm going to switch this over to custom, and I might go a little heavy-handed here in the demo just so that you can really see it on the video. So I'm going to go ahead and enable it, and nothing too drastic happen. Now I'm going to go into mask mode so we can really see where that halation is going to be applied. And you can see this outline in here. So we can come in here and maybe increase the local diffusion. And so now you can really start to see that. We have amplify, so if that's not enough, we can dial it up even more. And then we have impact, right? So we can change how much of an impact we're getting. Like I said, I'm going to leave it a little heavy-handed so you can see it. So let me turn off mask mode. And let's go ahead and enable and disable it. So you can see this glow around the screen here. If you take a look at the lighting down here, even on the metal reflections here, we get this nice blooming effect on the metal, and it just looks really good. And maybe I'll increase the local diffusion so it spreads out a little more. Let's go ahead and take the impact down. It's pretty strong, but And then when we get out here, we can see it. If we take a look at this metal here, let's go ahead and disable it and enable it. So to me, I really love that. It's great. And like I said, I've used plugins like this before, my photo editing apps. I do have a photo editing app with Halation in it, and I've been wanting it in After Effects, and I'm really excited to have this in here. The bloom effect is pretty nice in here as well. So let me go ahead and enable it. Let's go into mask mode, and we can see this outline in here. And of course, we have these different presets. So let's just go ahead and try this preset here and see what it looks like. And if we turn it on and off, I'm going to actually go into custom so that I can bring the impact down a little bit. We're going to go light on this and diffusion. So I'm moving the slider back and forth so I can really see exactly where it's falling. And let's take a look at that. So let's come out here. So that's looking really nice. So let's come back out here to where we were setting a marker. So let's go ahead and compare. So this is after, this is before. After and before. So, and I think it just looks so much better. I think we did get another 5-10% better look on the final render here. So this looks really nice. Let's take a look at how we can use Dehancer Pro on 2D animations. So this particular animation I made in After Effects, and I worked on it to try and make it look like it was a stop animation. We can use Dehancer Pro to get this looking even better. So we have film damage in here. And so I already went through and I made some adjustments. And film damage is really nice because it's going to add a little bit of texture overlay on this and give us some of that film texture within our animation. Let's go ahead and enable this. With Gateway, we can see the image moving here, and this really adds a lot to this stop animation feel. Makes it less perfect, and I really love that. It has a great feel to it. We can come in here and change the period. So how fast is it moving? And with our translation X and Y, we can change how much it's moving in the X and Y direction. And obviously we have the rotation as well. You do have an auto zoom button here as well if you wanted to zoom in a little bit, but in this case, we can go ahead and leave auto zoom off. We also have Overscan, which is another great addition. Let's take a look at this. So I'm going to go ahead and enable this. And this gives us the look that is actually on film. And you have some nice options in here. So let me stop the render so we can look at just some of these. So we can go horizontal, which is a great look. And then we also have positive or negative, or you can go off. Let's go back to positive. You can change the gate shape. And then you also have some other great options, presets for the gate type. Let's take a look at what I would like to see improved upon for Dehancer Pro. No tool is absolutely perfect. So there's just a couple things after using this that I would like to see. So first off is that if we see the little triangle here, we can see that this effect does not support multi-frame rendering. I would love to see it support multi-frame rendering. It does use the GPU, and I will say, even though it's not multi-frame rendering enabled, it is really fast. So I was really happy to see that even though I got that warning message, it does still render really quickly. So I would be curious to see how much more performance could be squeaked out of this with multi-frame rendering. The other thing is for the film profiles here, I would love to see a strength slider for this. Sometimes they're a little bit too heavy-handed. Yeah, I could apply Dehancer Pro and just have just the film profile and adjust the overall intensity, right? I can come down here to output and I would be able to adjust the intensity of just the film profile, but I don't really want two different versions of the same effect applied just so that I can control the strength of the film profile. So I'd love to have a film profile strength slider here. That would be great. And the other thing is I would love to see it just say Dehancer Pro up here. I did create a script for dealing with viewing all the profiles at once, and having a version number in there makes it a little bit tricky when you're writing a script because that version number is going to change all the time. So I'd love to have a name that is going to be static, that's going to just stay the same instead of changing each version. Let's take a look at the free script that I created for Dehancer Pro. So when I very first opened up Dehancer Pro and saw all the film profiles, I was a little bit overwhelmed, and there's so many that I wanted to see what my render looked like with all these. And clicking on one and then looking at it and then clicking on another gets a little bit tedious. So I created a script to go ahead and preview all these at once. In order to use the script, you're going to have your layer and you're going to have Dehancer Pro applied to it. So this is called Dehancer Preview. There is a pre-compose button here so that it will build the preview gallery in a pre-comp instead of in your main comp right here. So let's go ahead and click on Generate. And it's going to ask you how big of a comp do you want your preview gallery to be in. So I have the default set to 6K. Let's go ahead and say OK. And then you're going to get an alert. It finished creating 63 layers in a 6K comp. And then it's going to go ahead and open that. So we can see the 63 layers here. And every layer has a different film profile applied to it. So you can come in here and pan around and see all the different profiles to help you find one that might be more suitable for your render than others. And if you do find one, just to speed things up, let's say I like this one, you can click on the solo button and that's going to solo that layer. Maybe I want to zoom in here and take a look at it. Let's go ahead and throw this onto full. And then if I want to unsolo, just make sure it's selected and click on solo. And then we're going to go back to being able to preview all these. So depending on your computer, this might be a little bit slow, but hopefully that'll help you when you're using Dehancer Pro to view all those profiles instead of clicking on them one at a time. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this shows how you can use Dehancer Pro in motion graphics.